People who let their mom count to 0, what happened after? Everything goes black and the last thing I see is my mother's slipper speeding toward me. It's funny how they can make getting hit by fuzzy pink slipper feel like getting hit by a Mack truck. Wooden spoon impact. Edit. I see a lot of people asking if I'm Italian, Irish or even Polish. Nope, American, but the art of the wooden spoon was taught through many generations in our family. I'm just thankful I never got the belt. Middle dot. Horribly slow murder with a spoon? No, but that shit hurts for real. We had one with a hole in it. That was the you really screwed up spoon. Out of us 3 kids I was the only one who got it though. And repeatedly. Shit man, my mom was a wooden spoon ninja. She got me once with the one with the hole in it. Man, that little circle welled up real nice. Had a perfectly round welt for about an hour. I actually think she never used that one again after pussies. My mom started at 0. Immediately punches you. I'm deceased. God, I wish my mom's spawn killed me. She was bluffing, but only the first time. Well, if the comment section is any hint of what happened. She was counting again so you wouldn't run away as she grabbed the wooden spoon. Oh man, I'm old now, but that brings back an old memory. When I was born I already had 5 older brothers and mom had an 8-year break from having children, then surprise. Nibbles McGiblet came along. As the only girl, I sometimes heard stories of how bad my brothers had been when they were my age, probably told to keep me from getting into similar trouble, and I definitely remember my mom saying the only time she ever used anything to spank any of us, it was a wooden spoon on my second to oldest brother. Apparently it broke as she spanked him with it. He was a teen, and it left a mark, and she vowed not to do that to any of the other kids for any reason, and then didn't. Until I had hair down to my butt and was the only girl, and at one point I thought that brushing my hair with a round brush would make it curly. No, it made it tangled. My mom spent a couple of hours working that knot out and then swatted me with the brush. Edited to add, to the person who thought it was appropriate to call my dearly loved and now deceased mother disgusting, go talk to your own mother that way, if you really feel that is appropriate, but keep your opinions of my mother out of it. She did a great job raising 6 kids all by herself after our father died. The same way she swatted me with the brush is the same way that if we told her a funny joke she might swat us on the shoulder with her hand while laughing. A swat is not a slap, a hit, a punch, or a spank. It's a swat. Grow up and quit being so cruel. There's no benefit for anyone that comes from you disrespecting my dead mother. Instead, maybe go call your own mom or give her a hug and tell her you love her. Turn that frown upside down and get out of your miserable head and spread some joy to her while you can. My mom's done this to my brother. He had no countdown but was pre-warned, forgot what he did, but it was hilarious. Then I laughed some more as she projectiled the brush at him. It hit him and broke back. Then my brother was Granny's favorite, so he threatened to tell my gran. My mom tried to call his bluff saying he wouldn't. When he did, my gran went, "What did you do to piss her off to deserve it, huh?" Now he's 26. He torments the crap out of our mom, so she just goes to find the brush and he runs off. Lord, she come in. I'm just piggybacking off this comment because it was literally a no lord moment. My mom is quite deaf. About 85% of her hearing is gone. Well, around the time it first started to fade, she was in a foul mood. She screamed at me to tell my cousin to come downstairs and come and eat. As I turned and said okay and she could not read my lips, I just heard her scream from behind me. I said, "Go and get your cousin." As she opened the freezer door, pulled out a frozen loaf of bread and launched it directly at my head. I woke up about 90 seconds later with her sobbing on top of me and with a pounding headache, and she never hit me again. We also got McDonald's after. Forgive_my_cowardice. How old were you when you go knock TF out with a frozen loaf of bread? My ears are still ringing. Seriously, I got a minor case of tinnitus. 100%. It was my grandma, because mom didn't give warnings like that. Grandma is tiny, so we didn't worry. Normally we would step in line at 2. Once, I'm 13, I decided to stand my ground and her little arm made contact with the side of my head with the speed of a timber rattler. That day was rough. We learned that running from her was much more effective. Then, she learned that we were not worthy of warnings. One day I was being a smart ass to her and my cousin. She told me to stop picking on my cousin or she'll smack me one. I kept going. My nana came up beside me and asked me to steady her while she leaned on me. I didn't think anything of it until she smacked me in the back of the head with her slipper and said, "I told you I'd smack you one if you didn't cut it out." I was 27 at the time. I'm gonna count again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 1/2, 1 1/4, 1 1/8. Oh bless you, I'd forgotten I played that game with my parents. The first time I heard 2, 1.5, 1.25, I asked why the numbers weren't getting smaller anymore, and got my first fraction lesson. That time it was an effective tool because I was so fascinated by the concept of fractions that I stopped fighting leaving the pool. The game was a reward of sorts. When I thought I'd been good enough to get an extra minute before bed, in the bath, etc., after mom or dad got to 2, I'd say 1.5. I didn't always get to play. On days when we had a minute to spare and I behaved, the response was 1.25, and the game was on. We went back and forth, saying a number smaller than the one before. When I messed up and accidentally went up numerically, the game was over, and I had to do whatever it was they were counting for. They made it harder as I got older, jumping random intervals, but they stopped when I finally completely understood fractions, and could go on for hours. Dad later used the game to teach me how negative numbers work, but I caught on to that one quickly. Number games like that are also fun in the car. Hardest thing as a parent is following through on punishing these kids you love more than anything else in the world. A colleague of mine had 3 small kids. Mother never followed through on disciplinary threats, so the kids ignored hers. Father gave them one warning, then always followed through. They listened to his threats. I saw it in action a few times. The kids would ignore mom and eventually dad would step in and bam. Instant compliance. Both of them absolutely adored their kids, but dad had the right idea on this matter. As the dad in a house like this, it fucking sucks. You always have to be the one to dole out the punishment, and in reality, you end up having to punish more because of the times they flat out refuse to listen to the other parent. And of course, as soon as the punishment is over, runs to the other parent for reassurance and cuddles. It's no fun always being the bad guy, even if it is just time out. As someone who never heard no and never was grounded, discipline is love. I'm currently learning the hard way, and this is a lot harsher and more soul-crushing than being grounded or extra chores. If you don't discipline them, they will have to learn discipline on their own. Not saying be harsh, but something. I had the same type of childhood and now I'm struggling with self-discipline. Discipline your kids because it will benefit them in the long run. And also learn how to effectively teach kids discipline. By which I mean, don't take notes from this thread. If you like this video, please subscribe and share. Thank you.